spider always looked simple to me. 8 legs, a small body, it builds a web, catches insects. Nothing special. That's how most of us see spiders. Background creatures, easy to ignore, easy to underestimate. But the moment I actually started looking closer, everything I believed about spiders fell apart. Because spiders are not simple. They are not basic. They are not primitive. And they are definitely not weak. In fact, spiders are some of the most over-engineered organisms evolution has ever produced. They've been alive for over 400 million years. That's older than dinosaurs, older than trees, older than flowers, older than the ecosystems we think of as nature. Spiders were here when the world was barely recognizable. And here's the first thing most people get wrong. A spider isn't even an insect. Calling a spider an insect is like calling a human a fish. They belong to a completely different evolutionary line, one that split from insects over 500 million years ago, back when life was still experimenting with survival on land. Spiders didn't just adapt to Earth. They rewrote the rules of how a predator could exist. They invented venom, not to kill, but to digest. They invented silk, a material stronger than steel and more elastic than rubber, long before they ever used it to build webs. They don't just trap prey, they sense the world through vibrations, air movement, and pressure in ways our brains can barely comprehend. A spider's web isn't just a trap, it's a sensory network, an extension of its nervous system, a physical form of intelligence. And the deeper you go into how spiders work, their bodies, their silk, their venom, their behavior, the more unsettling the truth becomes. Spiders aren't simple creatures in a complex world. They are complex creatures in a world that never fully caught up to them. So how did an ancient aquatic ancestor turn into one of the most efficient predators ever to walk on land? Why did spiders survive every mass extinction that wiped out giants? And what does their existence tell us about intelligence, evolution, and survival itself? To understand spiders, we have to go back to a version of Earth that no longer exists. To understand spiders, we have to leave the modern world behind, far behind. More than 400 million years ago, Earth didn't look like Earth anymore. There were no birds in the sky, no mammals on land, no flowers, no trees, not even grass. The continents were mostly bare rock, broken only by mosses, primitive plants, and shallow coastal waters crawling with life. This was the Silurian period, followed by the Devonian, a time when life was making its first serious attempt to leave the ocean. The land was hostile. There was no soil as we know it, no forest to stabilize the ground, no shade, no complex food chains, only silence, stone, and the earliest pioneers brave enough to crawl onto dry land. Among them were arthropods, ancient relatives of insects, crustaceans, and arachnids. And hidden within that group were the ancestors of spiders. These early proto-spiders didn't look like the spiders we know today. They didn't spin webs. They didn't inject venom. They didn't stalk prey with precision. What they had was a body plan inherited from the ocean. 8 legs, simple fangs called chelicerae, a tough exoskeleton that protected them from drying out. They were survivors, not hunters. The world they entered was unforgiving. Oxygen levels fluctuated wildly. The sun beat down without mercy, and every step onto land was an evolutionary gamble. Most life failed, but some didn't. As plants slowly spread across the continents, they created new microworlds, moist surfaces, shaded ground, primitive soils, and with them came prey. Early insects, giant millipedes, armored arthropods unlike anything alive today. Spiders didn't just adapt to this world, they emerged alongside it. They evolved in a time before ecosystems were stable, before nature had rules. Every trait they developed had to work immediately, or the species disappeared. This is why spiders feel so different. They aren't refined products of a gentle environment. They are survivors shaped by chaos. When dinosaurs would later dominate the planet, spiders were already ancient. When forests finally rose, spiders were already waiting. They weren't newcomers adapting to the world. They were part of the foundation. And from this harsh beginning, spiders would develop 2 tools that would permanently change their fate: venom and silk. Here's a mistake almost everyone makes. We call spiders insects. It feels natural. They're small, they crawl, they have too many legs. But biologically, that statement is completely wrong. Calling a spider an insect is like calling a human a shark. They don't just belong to different groups, they split apart hundreds of millions of years ago. Insects belong to a lineage built around 6 legs, antennae, and compound eyes. Spiders don't share any of that. Spiders belong to an ancient group called chelicerates, a lineage that branched off from insects over 500 million years ago, back when life on land was barely beginning. This single split sent evolution down 2 very different paths. Insects went one way: 6 legs, antennae to sense the world, wings for flight, fast reproduction, and massive numbers. Spiders went another: 8 legs, no antennae, 2 main body segments, and a completely different way of interacting with their environment. Instead of antennae, spiders evolved thousands of sensory hairs across their bodies. These hairs can detect vibrations in air, ground, and silk, so subtle that even sound waves can move them. Instead of compound eyes, most spiders rely on simple eyes, not for detailed images, but for detecting motion and light changes. And here's the part most people don't expect. Spiders are more closely related to scorpions, ticks, and even horseshoe crabs than they are to ants, flies, or butterflies. Yes, horseshoe crabs, living fossils that have barely changed in 450 million years. That's how deep this lineage goes. This isn't just a classification detail. It explains why spiders feel so alien. Their nervous system works differently. Their sensory priorities are different. Their survival strategies evolved under completely different pressures. Insects conquered the air. Spiders conquered control. They didn't need wings. They didn't need speed. They built systems. And that difference would soon give spiders an advantage that no insect could match. Because while insects evolved bodies, spiders evolved tools. And those tools would redefine predation on land. When we look at a spider, we think it sees the world the way we do. But that's the wrong assumption. A spider doesn't experience reality primarily through sight. It experiences the world through feeling. A spider's body is built around just 2 main segments. The front, the cephalothorax, where the brain, eyes, legs, and fangs are tightly packed, and the abdomen, soft, flexible, and filled with organs that support digestion, silk production, and breathing. This compact design isn't clumsy. It's efficient. Most spiders don't rely on sharp vision. Their eyes are simple, small, often blurry. Some species can barely form images at all. So how do they hunt so precisely? How do they react before prey even touches them? The answer is something almost invisible. Covering a spider's body are thousands of ultrafine hairs called trichobothria. These hairs are so sensitive they can detect air movements smaller than the width of a human hair. When an insect flaps its wings nearby, the airflow bends these hairs. Before the insect lands, before it even touches a web, the spider already knows something is there. It doesn't see prey arrive, it feels it. These hairs respond not just to movement, but to specific vibration patterns. Different wing beats, different air pulses, different frequencies. To a spider, air is not empty. It's full of information. Some trichobothria are tuned so finely that they respond to sound waves themselves. Spiders don't have ears, but they can still hear. Not as sound in the human sense, but as pressure changes rippling through the air. This allows spiders to detect approaching predators, struggling prey, even changes in environmental conditions, all without direct contact. In web-building species, this sensory system becomes even more extreme. The web isn't just a trap, it's an extension of the spider's nervous system. Every strand transmits vibrations. Every movement sends signals. From the center of the web, a spider can tell where prey landed, how big it is, whether it's worth attacking, or whether it's something dangerous. All in total darkness. No vision, no sound, just sensation. This is why spiders feel unsettling to us. They don't observe the world from a distance. They are immersed in it. They don't watch life happen. They sense it unfolding around them in real time. To a spider, the world isn't something to be seen. It's something to be felt. When we hear the word venom, we imagine violence, pain, death, something designed to kill. But that assumption is wrong. Spider venom was never meant to kill. At least, not at first. Long before venom became a weapon, it was a digestive tool. Spiders face a fundamental problem. They don't have chewing mouths. They can't tear flesh or grind food. So evolution solved this problem in a very different way. Early spiders produced digestive enzymes inside their bodies, like most animals. But at some point, those enzymes migrated. They began forming in glands near the fangs. Instead of digesting food after eating it, spiders began digesting food before consuming it. When a spider bites prey, it injects a chemical cocktail, enzymes that break tissue down from the inside. Muscle fibers dissolve, organs liquefy, internal structures collapse. The prey is still there, but it's already becoming a nutrient-rich fluid. This is called external digestion. The spider doesn't eat a body, it drinks what's left of one. Over millions of years, something remarkable happened. Some digestive enzymes mutated. They stopped just dissolving tissue and began interfering with nerve signals. Instead of slow breakdown, they caused paralysis. Muscles locked. Movement stopped. Resistance vanished. This was a massive evolutionary advantage. No prolonged struggle, no injury, no wasted energy. Venom became chemical control, not brutality. Different spider lineages refined this weapon in different ways. Tarantulas developed venom optimized for insects and small vertebrates. Their venom often causes rapid paralysis, but minimal pain in humans. Widow spiders went another direction. Their venom evolved powerful neurotoxins that flood the nervous system, causing intense muscle contractions and pain. Not because they're aggressive, but because their prey is strong and dangerous. The most extreme example comes from funnel web spiders. Some funnel web species produce venom containing peptides that interfere directly with ion channels in nerves. These compounds prevent nerve signals from shutting off. The result? Uncontrolled nerve firing. In humans, this can lead to sweating, muscle spasms, and in rare cases, death, sometimes within hours. But here's the critical point. These venoms weren't designed for humans. Humans are collateral damage. Spider venom evolved to subdue prey efficiently, not to attack large mammals. In fact, most spider venom is too weak to harm us at all. Some spiders evolved even more precise strategies. Certain tarantulas inject venom that acts like a local anesthetic, numbing prey tissue. The prey doesn't thrash, doesn't fight. Digestion begins quietly. Others use venom that keeps prey alive but immobile. Fresh food stored for later. Venom isn't rage, it's chemistry, it's timing, it's efficiency, it's control at the molecular level. A spider doesn't overpower its prey, it rewrites how the prey's body functions. And this chemical mastery paved the way for the next great invention. Because once prey could be controlled, it could be captured. Which brings us to the most extraordinary material spiders ever evolved: silk. Silk, nature's most advanced material. If venom is the spider's weapon, silk is its superpower. Spider silk isn't just impressive, it's unnatural. Pound for pound, spider silk is stronger than steel, more elastic than rubber, and tougher than Kevlar. And spiders have been producing it for over 380 million years, long before humans invented metal, long before mammals even existed. But silk didn't begin as a web-building tool. The earliest spiders used silk for one purpose only: protection. They wrapped their eggs in silk cocoons, shielding them from predators, fungi, and harsh environments. Over time, spiders discovered something extraordinary. This material could do more. Silk became a safety line, a drag line that prevented fatal falls. Then it became insulation, lining burrows, stabilizing tunnels. And finally, it became architecture. But here's what most people don't know. Spiders don't make one kind of silk. They make up to 7 different types, each produced by a different gland, each with different chemical properties. Some silk is built for strength, some for elasticity, some for adhesion, some for wrapping, some for egg protection. A spider can switch between these silks instantly, like changing tools mid-task. The Darwin's bark spider produces silk so tough it builds webs across rivers, some spanning over 25 meters. Golden orb weavers spin silk that literally glows in sunlight. And then there are spiders that abandoned webs entirely. Bolus spiders swing sticky silk like a lasso. Net casting spiders throw silk nets over prey in complete darkness. Water spiders build diving bells, underwater air chambers made of silk, allowing them to live submerged. But the most mind-bending part? A spider's web is not a trap. It's a sensory organ. When prey lands on a web, the spider doesn't see it, it feels it. Every strand vibrates. Every vibration carries information: size, speed, direction, struggle pattern. Each strand behaves like a tuned guitar string, resonating at specific frequencies. Spiders read these vibrations with extreme precision. They can tell the difference between prey, wind, falling debris, potential mates, all without white, all without eyes. Orb webs detect flying insects. Funnel webs amplify ground vibrations. Cobwebs confuse prey while creating multiple signal pathways. Some orb-weaving spiders rebuild their webs every single day. They tear the old one down, eat it, recycle nearly 90% of the silk proteins, and build a new structure optimized for current conditions. This isn't instinct alone. This is adaptive engineering. The web becomes part of the spider's brain, an external extension of its nervous system, intelligence made physical. A spider's body is just as strange as its web. Most spiders have 8 eyes, each serving different purposes. But jumping spiders take vision to another level. Their primary eyes contain telescopic retinas, layered structures that move internally. They scan environments without moving their heads. They detect depth by measuring how different wavelengths of light focus, a technique called chromatic aberration. They see ultraviolet light. They judge distance with extreme accuracy. This allows jumping spiders to hunt without webs, launching themselves up to 50 times their body length. And that jump reveals another secret. Spiders don't use muscles to extend their legs. They use hydraulics. They pump hemolymph, their blood, into their limbs, creating pressure that forces joints to straighten. It's biological machinery, construction equipment, miniaturized. This system gives spiders explosive power, but also vulnerability. When pressure drops, legs curl inward. That's why dying spiders fold up. Add to this thousands of microscopic hairs, trichobothria, capable of detecting air movements thinner than a human hair. Some spiders sense wing beats before prey touches the web. Others detect approaching predators through airflow alone. Some species even respond to sound waves, hearing without ears. Everything about a spider is optimized for perception and control. Spiders have tiny brains, some no larger than a poppy seed. Yet certain species display behaviors that look disturbingly like planning. Jumping spiders of the genus Portia hunt other spiders, prey that can fight back. They observe target webs from a distance. They memorize layouts. They choose indirect routes. They approach from angles that minimize detection. Sometimes they wait. Sometimes they retreat. Sometimes they try again. This suggests spatial memory, decision-making, possibly even foresight. Spider intelligence may not be centralized. It may be distributed across silk, across limbs, across sensory systems, a form of cognition we don't yet fully understand. Spiders have survived mass extinctions, ice ages, asteroid impacts. They outlived dinosaurs, and they are adapting right now. Some species exploit artificial light, building webs near street lamps to harvest concentrated insect populations. Others adapt to indoor environments, becoming synanthropic, living alongside humans. Climate change shifts their ranges. Urban environments reshape their behaviors. Evolution is not finished. It's happening now. Spiders aren't relics of the past. They are ongoing experiments. Spiders were never simple. We just didn't look closely enough. They are architects, chemists, engineers, sensors, predators refined by hundreds of millions of years. They don't need size. They don't need strength. They don't need fear. They control their world through precision. And long after humans are gone, spiders will still be here, building, listening, waiting. The smallest creatures often carry the deepest designs. If you enjoy documentaries like this, your support makes deeper research possible. Subscribe for more science-driven stories that explore the hidden side of our world. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.